to give you a bit of the context first for why we're doing the Media Lab, let me tell you a little bit about Migrant Voice and where the idea came from. Migrant Voice is a migrant-led organization. We work nationally, but primarily in the West Midlands, London and Glasgow. And we were set up in 2010 because we wanted to do something about the way that everyone was talking about migrants, but without migrants. So our work is mainly around advocacy and voice. We work to amplify migrant voices in the media and public life in order to counter xenophobia, build support for our rights, and call for the changes we seek. And to do that, we deliver media training to develop the skills, capacity, and confidence of migrants and refugees to speak out about our own lives and tell our own stories. So the reason we do this work is we're very concerned when we set up that migrants are not represented in the debate that's taking place about migration, a debate which is often very toxic and in which migrants are not heard enough. We know migrants are not heard because research that we've done, research done by, for example, Coventry University, shows that only 12 to 15% of stories that are about migration quote a migrant. So the majority of the stories, almost 85% of stories that are about migration, don't speak to a migrant. We're missing that actual real lived experience in those stories. At the same time, we know that to build understanding and to change attitudes, the best way to do that is to hear directly from people affected by an issue firsthand. At the same time, you also have a media space where there is negative rhetoric about migrants in parts of the media, particularly stereotypes against a particular group of migrants or about migrants and immigration generally. We also know that we need to build our skills as migrants to speak out, to engage in telling our stories in media. We need to know how do we engage with the media and what are the different tools to do that. So we do a lot of training at Migrant Voice, and our signature training is our Media Lab, which we have been running as part of the MiFriendly Cities project. The purpose of the Media Lab is to train in the skills needed to tell your own stories. And those could be stories of being participant in the project and of any other issues you want to raise, but also to get the skills and confidence to continue to tell stories beyond the project.
We conduct regular standalone media training sessions, mostly often half a day, with 1 or 2 media professionals delivering training sessions in topics ranging from interview skills, social media, video making, photography, storytelling. And initially, we used to hold these media labs in the 3 cities, namely Wolverhampton, Birmingham, and Coventry. But as from March 2020, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been holding these media labs online. And what we do, we invite people of a media or of a migrant background, as well as refugees and asylum seekers and their friends to attend these media lab sessions. And normally what we do is that we invite professional journalists. And we also invite many freelancers, photographers, as well as some social media experts to deliver these media lab sessions. Normally we hold these sessions for half a day, and the first session starts with a tutorial of whatever the journalist or media professional has prepared. And then after the tutorial, which is normally interactive, we encourage the sessions to be as interactive as possible. We also set aside some time, especially during the afternoon, where some practical exercises can be done based on what the Media Lab participants have learned probably during the start of the sessions. Then we have some practical sessions that are conducted, as well as discussions. And we also make sure that we have a question and answer session. The training, is basically intended to enable people of a migrant background, refugees and asylum seekers, to tell their stories in the media and in public life. And we also try to ensure that they get media skills and produce media content after every training session. Most of the people that we've trained, their skills have improved a lot, and especially the area of confidence. There's been a lot of improvement in confidence, especially in the area of social media and, article writing, as well as in producing videos. Most of the stories which they write is about their journeys. And they also write stories which recognize the diversity and contribution which migrants make. So this has been some of our major achievements so far.
So following on from Media Lab sessions, participants who wanted to develop their skills further would join us for weekly newsroom sessions where they would get to have one-to-one workshops with each other, create a kind of editorial structure of a newsroom, get to learn more about the editorial skills such as writing, copywriting, editing, photography, multimedia skills, and social media. And then they would develop those with journalists one-to-one as well as each other. So that they could create their own news content on a more regular basis and implement and use the skills they picked up in the previous media labs. Newsroom sessions were held every week. We started holding them in Birmingham initially before we moved online, and they're usually 3 to 4 hours, and they would involve new participants meeting each other and getting to know each other, while those who attended regularly would become part of the core newsroom team where they would discuss and brainstorm ideas of content they wanted to create, and that would include written content, video content, audio content, and other social media content. Participants attending the newsroom would develop their media skills. They were producing long form and short form videos. They were producing news reports. They were producing written articles, which would be published on the Migrant Voice website, but also in the MiFriendly Cities newsletter. They were also producing written copy for external news websites and newspapers. They also spent a number of months creating stories, articles, opinion pieces, and poems, and working on their editorial skills for a special Black History Month magazine they created called Beyond, which was published in October 2020 online. And that was a really good sort of 100+ page sort of journal / magazine that they were all really proud of creating. I think when we held the Media Labs originally from 2018 onwards through to 2019, I think there was a real hunger from a lot of the regular attendees to have something a little bit more regular. And that was partly why the newsroom was set up. And once the newsroom was created, not only did we have people from previously, but we started getting new individuals who joined us at the very start of January 2020 in Birmingham. And I think we created a small community of citizen journalists, people who wanted to learn, and a lot of them said that they looked forward to having these weekly events, originally in person and then online, because it helped motivate them and encourage them to do something they were a little bit scared of. They lacked confidence, but they really wanted to develop media skills. So yeah, I think they've come a long way from people who had never done any kind of media work at the start of 2020, and around the same time, a year later, they're pretty much bona fide community journalists.
COVID-19 has obviously been a big challenge on many levels. I mean, the first step we took was to make sure that we conducted all our activities online. I think one of the benefits actually has been that where before we were delivering sessions in 3 cities, now actually the sort of interregional aspect of the project became strengthened because people were able to participate from across the 3 cities in the same sessions. And it was in some ways, I think, more easily accessible for people. I think the difficulty, of course, has been that for the type of training that we deliver, a lot of topics needed to change a bit because we do things that are hands-on, that use equipment, you know, so some of the training that we used to deliver in terms of how to use video cameras, how to use photo cameras, you know, how to edit things on the computer, it's been difficult to deliver that. So it's been, how do you teach alternatively? How do you, you know, take photos and videos on your phone and use your own, you know, equipment in a different way? But we've managed to provide really vibrant sessions online where people have been able to learn in the reality that we're living in now, where you can't go out and shoot a video and you can't go and use equipment. You have to make do with your phone, for example. But so those have been some of the challenges. I think also there's the challenge of the impact it has on the social aspect of coming together, the impact it has on sort of digital access, because not everybody finds it easy to access online sessions. So it's something that we try to address in how we organize the training and support people to get online, but it's obviously an ongoing barrier at this time.
It gave me an opportunity to do things that I wouldn't normally do. It showed me ways in which I could express myself. Coming back to work, everybody, notice different. There's a difference about me, the way I talk, the way I communicate, and also my writing, sending emails and everything. I realized how much the community on a whole, other people who take part in it, I realize how much they rely on this. It's something to look forward to. It's a new challenge for you to pick up. With Media Lab, what I realize is that it engaged those people. For me, it broke up my lockdown a bit. There was something for me to look forward to. So it kind of, on a Tuesday, I knew that that was the day when I had to go sign into Zoom and have a discussion with other people. So I think it's a door opener, and a lot of opportunities can arise from this.
I'm a trained lawyer by training, by profession, and I've always had this love for media work, and it was an opportunity for me to come in under an umbrella where I was taught on how to practice this profession very well. I learned all those nitty-gritty of writing, and that I later on went on to publish. I got an opportunity of publishing some of my articles, and I found that very interesting. So I learned quite a lot. Knowing the rudiment or the rules of writing, knowing how to put up an article out there that is catchy, that make people want to read it. I feel more confident in putting articles out there, knowing that I'm following the principles of writing. So naturally, it boosts my confidence. Naturally, it makes me want to write more. I was at the verge of doing a fundraising for my PhD, and I did a piece, and it was published on the, Birmingham. And that piece brought a lot of donors, people to contribute to the crowdfunding. After the success, I also published another article on how I was able, I think it was titled, How an Asylum Seeker Sponsored His PhD. My articles were read by different scholars. I knew of a lady who read it online from Leeds University, and she had to even approach me for an interview. I know of another lady in London who read my articles and have to ask me to partake in a book which she's writing. So you can see that it practically brought me to the limelight, courtesy the training that I received. It's very, very, and I emphasize very, very important, because there's a difference when you hear from the real source. And migrants couldn't have been the better people to speak for themselves. We are like activists. We are like social crusaders. We are like people who advocate for a change. And we need as many people as we can to engage with us through our writings. This is like the microphone that amplifies the voices of people who yearn for a change. And when you switch off the microphone, it simply means the voices of those who are discriminated will be silent, and silent means acceptance. Silence means denials. Silence means rejection. This is one initiative that must not be permitted to die.